Hello,
Hi.
and welcome to Movie Battles. Is that what we're calling this?
Yeah.
Okay, Movie Battles, basically.
I would do like a singing entrance music, but I won't.
You would, but you won't.
Yeah.
So you won't then?
Yeah, I don't think people are ready for that.
Okay, I'm not either. Basically, we've got 16 films. Well, we've got a big old list of films that we've seen, obviously. And we asked ChatGPT basically to pick 16 of them at random. And we now have 16 that we've put all on slips of paper into a mug that's, I think, has some coffee stains at the bottom of it because I haven't cleaned it. Mm-hmm. But 16 films, and what we're going to do is we're going to pick one out one at a time, and we're going to have like a knockout tournament.
We're going to each pick one out.
Yeah.
And then we'll discuss both the films and then decide which out of the two is best, and then so forward.
A knockout tournament with a round of 16, quarterfinals, a semi-finals, a final, and then the best movie of the list. Ideally, it depends. Sometimes, if they go against weird things, it might not end up that way, but we're going to see how it goes. We've got 16, I've forgotten what they are already, so we're just going to pull them out and talk about them.
Okay, shall I go first?
Alright.
I got Knives Out.
The first film, I assume.
Yeah.
Yes, the murder mystery thing with Daniel Craig. And I got Lord of the Rings Return of the King. I wonder what wins this. Are you going to have any argument for Knives Out?
Not really.
No?
What do you think about Knives Out?
Well, I mean, I really liked Glass Onion. I think there was a lot of different talk online about that film. A lot of people saying it was terribly written and there's all sorts of stupid plot holes. But
I really liked it.
I think if a film's just going to be judged on plot holes, then plot holes are important, but they're not the only thing. And in that kind of film that's a bit cheesy and ridiculous,
yeah, it's meant to be quite fun and stuff, anyways, isn't it? So
it doesn't particularly bother me that much. I really like Knives Out in that sense. I've had a lot of fun. I liked the idea behind it. I think it was a good message. I made a video sort of on it. The first film, I didn't think was anything particularly special. I thought it was very well filmed, and there's some nice touches and foreshadowing, and obviously they got some twists of sorts. I didn't think it was a surprising twist. I didn't think it was anything particularly creative. I don't know. I
thought it was quite obvious who the killer was.
Yeah. And maybe it's because it's a stately home, but I mean, I've seen a lot of Poirot. I've seen a lot of Miss Marple. I've seen Midsummer Murders. I've seen A Touch of Frost. I've seen Broadchurch. I've seen Morse. Yeah. Lewis. Probably any British murder mystery show there is. And I think Knives Out just felt like a generic episode of a TV murder mystery to me in terms of the writing and the script. Obviously, there's more to the acting and the way it's filmed, but not enough to really make it stand out as anything special to me. I don't know. I can't remember much of it, to be honest.
I don't really.
I remember he's a writer and they play a game of Go, and that bit's pretty cool.
And Daniel Craig's doing a silly voice.
Yeah. But I quite like his voice.
Yeah, me too.
That's the bit I do enjoy about it. It's a fun main character. But as all murder mysteries that have a quirky detective, it was well filmed, but writing-wise, I don't think there's anything massively special. That's my opinion.
I do agree with that.
Okay, all right.
And I think compared to Return of the King, I don't think it's anything on that level.
Yeah, I mean, this competition is so obvious, we almost don't need to say anything at all, do we?
Yeah.
I mean, it's Return of the King. The bad points of Return of the King are that people, I suppose, say the ending is very long. Goes on a long time.
I quite like that, though. I like the ending.
I like the ending. I like the way it kind of... the struggle for Frodo to move on, effectively. I really like that they included that it isn't just, and they solved it and it was happy ever after. You get this long beat of it trying to reach some conclusion and him struggling to. It's obviously got a lot of moving moments, like the You Bow to No One and that, the for Frodo.
Yeah, I like the for Frodo bit.
I don't think the battle's as good as Helm's Deep, but it's still a very good battle. The one on, whatever it's called, Minas Tirith, the one outside Minas Tirith.
You've got, is that the one where Denethor runs off the...
Yes, it is. She's an odd bit in a lot of ways, but I very much like that. It confused the hell out of me when I was a child. What the hell's going on in any of that? But that's one of the things I think I found most interesting about Return of the King, and I suppose the end of the Two Towers. I think is he in the Two Towers? Maybe he's not. Maybe I'm misremembering it.
Denethor?
Yeah.
Is the tomato eating scene in that, or is it in Return of the King?
I think it might be Return of the King.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, the tomato eating scene. That's what he's known for now.
Yeah, so you've got that.
I mean, that is one of the most iconic things about I mean, that's another thing I do like in general about Lord of the Rings, how massively memeable it is without it ever quite ruining the films, you know?
Yeah.
Like some things, when they get memed on, you can't take them seriously anymore.
One of your favourites is the video of Sam, right?
Well, that if I take one more step, it'll be the furthest away from home I've ever been. Yeah, I'd like that. There's so much memed about Lord of the Rings. It is so memeable, and yet you don't feel any less of it for that. It's such a sincere film that you can't take it away from it somehow. Yeah, I love all the Lord of the Rings. Is it your favourite one, Return of the King?
No, my favourite's probably Fellowship.
It probably is mine.
And my favourite extended is probably Two Towers.
I don't know, I mean, having seen Two Towers in the cinema, I think Two Towers might actually be my favourite. Which I'll talk about one day if it ever comes to that.
Oh, another fun thing. So, we recently rewatched Return of the King at home, and our bunny rabbit, Hendrix, got very scared of Shelob.
Oh, she didn't like Shelob at all. The sound of Shelob, I suppose it must have been. Whenever Shelob was on screen, she was stomping, she was eyes wide, looking around everywhere, terrified of it. It's just sweet, but also not ideal. Yeah, okay, so there's that. Return of the King wins, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I'm going to pick a film then. I have Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, which is the Gene Wilder one, I think, from 1971.
And I have Shrek 2.
Okay, that's quite an interesting competition one, I suppose. They're both sort of fun kids' films with a bit of singing, and there's some singing in Shrek.
Yeah.
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 Mainly in the Pop Idol bit on the extras DVD.
No, but at the end they still have the...
Yeah.
Don't they have, the fairy godmother doing the song that I sing literally every day of my life?
Yes, they do. Speaking of songs you sing literally every day of your life, there's in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, I Want It Now by Veruca Salt.
Yeah, it's a classic.
Which you sing, there's both songs you sing every day. Which song do you prefer out of them two of them then?
Probably I Want It Now from Willy Wonka.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Does that edge Willy Wonka for you in this list then?
I'd say I have more nostalgia and stuff for Willy Wonka.
Yeah, I do.
I loved Willy Wonka as a kid.
Me too.
And I would watch it most days.
I also think there's something, because it's an older film as well, that makes it feel more nostalgic. I mean, I watched Shrek 2 as a kid as well, or other films, like Toy Story came out the year I was born. I watched that a lot from when I was a kid. But I feel more nostalgic for Willy Wonka because it looks so old, and that gives it a sort of old, cosy, timely feel to it. Which is probably the thing I love most about that movie, how nostalgic it feels for me, more than the movie itself.
Well, I have a thing where when I was a kid, I would rewatch movies just over and over and over again. The same films for years, probably.
Yeah.
And Willy Wonka was one that was in that rotation sometimes.
I mean, it's weird to say that it's a very cosy film, because it's also quite mad.
Yeah.
And could terrify the hell out of a lot of children.
And not a lot happens until halfway through the film, because they don't even reach the chocolate factory till 45 minutes in.
No, I mean, I like all the setup though, to be fair. You got all the mad scenes of people going crazy for the chocolate bars and some odd sort of gags going on about it.
Yeah, yeah. The woman whose husband's been kidnapped, they say is ransom, they want her last case of Wonka bars.
Yeah. And she's not, yeah. I like that. I like those bits of that film. And obviously Gene Wilder is incredibly good. I don't think if it hadn't had Gene Wilder, anyone would have remembered that film, to be honest.
No.
Because he does make that.
Because some of the most iconic moments in that film as well were just improv, right?
Yeah.
Like the tunnel scene and stuff.
Yeah. I think that is kind of written from the books, but the way he performed is very improv, I think. I mean, it is a special film for what Gene Wilder brought to it. And there is something very fun in a weird, dark way about watching Gene Wilder be horrible to everyone. Including children. And I do feel bad for the kids in it, because it is horrible and there's not much really moral about it. I think the morals of this film are generally quite confused, but it's still really fun. And the music is great, to be honest.
Yeah.
Do you prefer the music in this or in the Tim Burton remake?
Oh, that's hard, because there are just some absolute bops, as you'd say, in the Tim Burton one. Yeah,
people underrate how good the music in that one is.
There's been nights when we've been laying in bed about to go to sleep and we do a duet of the Augustus Gloop song.
Yeah.
With the dance moves.
Yeah. And I mean, the Gene Wilder one's let down by the Oompa Loompa song being very repetitive.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
But it does have pure imagination. An iconic, moving moment. Probably more moving than it deserves to be. But then there's Shrek 2. And I think Shrek 2 is one of those films that's, if it's not a flawless film, it's not far off it.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
I think the Willy Wonka one has flaws. I think how cheap it looks is very charming. I think that adds to it in a way. maybe at the time that made it look really bad, but I think nowadays, looking back, how kind of cheap the sets all look is really nice.
like when you get to the chocolate factory and it's meant to look really impressive, but you can tell it is just like a bit of cardboard and some cream on top of it.
Yeah, I quite like that. It feels oddly charming, but it's. I mean, the story's a bit messy. The kids don't really have any arcs whatsoever. They're kind of just there to be poked fun at. A lot of it doesn't entirely make much sense, which it kind of leans into anyway. It's supposed to be a bit bonkers. But Shrek 2 is, like, script-wise, I think a very well-written film. Mm-hmm. It's been a while since we've seen it.
Yeah.
Which one do you find more funny?
Obviously Shrek 2.
Oh, is it obvious?
Yeah, I mean...
I find it fun.
I won't say Willy Wonka is really a comedy.
Well, it kind of is, I suppose.
Not as much compared to like the Tim Burton version.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, I find it funnier than the Tim Burton version, though.
We do like the end bit when Charlie goes and puts like the gobstopper down on his desk, but before that he's like, "Good day."
Oh yeah, I love that scene. That is a good scene.
And like his office is just like half of everything.
Yeah, I really like the look of that.
Yeah.
I'd love to have an office that looked like that. But yeah, I do find Shrek 2 funnier, I think, as well. It's really good at voice acting performances across the board.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that Mike Myers originally wasn't cast as Shrek, and Shrek wasn't meant to have a Scottish accent.
No. I'm glad he does, to be fair. I mean, it feels slightly stereotypical that an ogre would become Scottish somehow, living in a swamp. But it suits. It's good.
Yeah.
And he's great in that. Eddie Murphy is great as Donkey. Cameron Diaz is great as Fiona. Antonio Banderas as Puss in Boots is a perfect addition to that film.
But then also you've got Fairy Godmother, is it Julie Andrews?
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah, it might be. You got John Cleese as Harold as well.
Yeah.
Who's good in that. I mean, I just really like the idea of that film. I don't know if they originally planned to make a second one, but they did make all sorts of mentions in the first film about Fiona waiting for Prince Charming and Shrek turning up instead. And so to then have a second film where it is Prince Charming, like, what have you done? You've taken my wife, I think is a great idea.
I love Prince Charming as a character.
Yeah, and how there's kind of ideas of possession, I suppose, in there, and what love is supposed to be, that kind of scripted ideas of it that the fairy godmother plans, which I think is a really cool idea. I love that scene as well when Fiona's like, Shrek can't sleep, and he finds Fiona's old notebook where it's like Mrs. Fiona Charming on all the pages. And like how dreamy and naive she was then. It's a great movie. It's surprisingly moving on all those bits. And obviously it also makes sense. You know, they end the first film happily ever after in love. But what happens when you have to meet the parents? That's, of course, the next stage in a relationship. And yeah, it's an obvious place to draw out comedy. It's a really strong film. It's also got a giant gingerbread man.
Oh, what's he called again? Mongo.
That's generally all about that area is a great, just like music set piece. I mean, they had a lot of stuff into that film, didn't they? You've suddenly got Puss in Boots, you've got Fairy Godmother, you've got two new parents, you've got a whole new location.
It's also got the thing that I quote probably most weeks.
What?
Pig und blanket!
Yeah.
I like that bit a lot.
I like the bit as well when they get arrested and they're like using a pepper grinder as a pepper spray on them and things. And they're on the TV. I like that. It fleshes out the world a lot, really, actually, that film as well, to think about it. It's just a really strong film.
Yeah, it's very good.
I think it's better.
It probably is better than Willy Wonka,
I think it is. I think Shrek 2 is possibly a contender to win this, you know.
I don't know if I agree.
No?
Nope.
Well, we don't know what else is on here. Do you remember what else is on here?
No. Right, I got Fantastic Mr Fox.
Yeah, that's the Wes Anderson animated film. Is that starring George Clooney?
Yes.
Yeah. I've only seen that the once, haven't I?
Yeah.
Because you showed it to me, and I really like Wes Anderson. The Fugitive. The Harrison Ford's Tommy Lee Jones escape thing, which you only saw recently.
Yeah, we watched it when we were on holiday.
Yeah. And I mean, that's like the classic kind of chase cop-ish film. What did you think of Fugitive?
I really liked it.
Did
to
you?
Be fair, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I like Harrison Ford anyways in general.
Yeah.
So when we were like... Because you'd been telling me for years and years that we needed to watch it.
Yeah.
So
well, I mean, he's one of those classic... Well, just in general, any of the like tense thriller Harrison Ford films.
So finally, we were, like, when we were on holiday looking for a film to watch one evening, we were like, that's probably a good choice because we were with your parents and stuff.
Yeah. It's quite a safe bet, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and I really, really enjoyed it.
He's good in the part, I think, as well.
Yeah.
And he looks so young there now. The only problem I'd say with The Fugitive, though, is it's one of those films, when it comes to talking about it, there is a limit to what you can say other than, that was really enjoyable.
Yeah, because I'm kind of struggling to know where to kind of go with that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like a... I mean, it is what it wants to be. It doesn't matter that it's not a deep film or anything exactly. There's kind of some stuff in there. But it is just a thriller film with a clear idea. Someone trying to escape the law while clearing their name. And it goes off on that chase. And that's what it does. And, yeah, that's kind of all I can say about it. I think the music's very good, actually, which I never realised until I saw it again. Yeah. And it is just satisfying watching him do smart things that I wouldn't think to do and going, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Because I'd be hopeless in that situation.
Yeah, me too.
And also it's kind of like the show Hunted, which I really enjoy as a show.
Yeah, I would recommend it if people haven't seen it. It's pretty much where they get random non-celebrity... Well, there is a celebrity edition as well. But they get random people in usually pairs.
Yeah.
And they have to be unseen and uncaught, I guess.
Be on the run.
Be on the run. That's be a fugitive.
I mean, they get a whole team... for how long? 28 days, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, they get a whole team of, like, police, surveillance people.
Task force, kind of.
Yeah, experts in those fields. And they are given all of the governmental powers of the state.
It's like being able to check CCTV.
ANPR.
Questioning family, things like that. They
can do all sorts of stuff to try and find these people for that time. And that makes it both really cool and really tense and also quite eye-opening to the reality of that, really. A really fun show, which my friends signed me up for once I didn't know about. About a couple of weeks later, I was like, oh, by the way, I signed us up for Hunted. And we didn't get picked, obviously, so it doesn't matter. But if that came up, I might have gone on it. I don't think I'd been good. I think I'd have been better at it than you.
I would be caught, like, looking at the deals in the middle of Aldi or something.
You do. You just get too distracted.
Like, oh, this is a bargain.
Also, you hate having to eat the same meal twice in a row and things, don't you?
Yeah.
So you would get fed up after one day of, like, camping in the woods or something.
I also wouldn't enjoy running.
Well, no. You can't be on the run if you don't enjoy running, can you? Yeah, all right. So that's The Fugitive. Fantastic Mr. Fox. Again, all of them so far have felt a bit obvious to me, who wins who.
Yeah, because I think...
It'll be interesting some of these comparing, Fantastic Mr. Fox against Shrek 2 or Return of the King and things, but...
I do think Fantastic Mr. Fox is a way better film.
I do. It could be one of my favourite animated films of all time.
Mm-hmm. I swear you say that about most animated films that come up, though.
I do. I mean, I forget how many good ones there are, is the thing. It's just really strong. It's very Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
I like the dry humour in this film a lot, though.
Yeah, because it is, I guess... on the surface, a kids' movie, but I think there is a lot more to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it feels quite grown up.
It does.
It's this, like, Fox getting a bit older and feeling a bit stuck in a sort of a midlife crisis, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's stuck in a rut. And that's, like, conveyed really well in this film. Far more than I expected. Mm-hmm. And it is just fun. Do you mark it down at all because it's Roald Dahl? Or is it, like, somehow Roald Dahl has escaped that? I don't know. Maybe that's because he's dead.
I think the time when things were written as well probably does play. It shouldn't.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
It was still after the war he wrote it.
I guess.
I don't know. It's probably because he's dead, isn't it? Mm-hmm. That people like are happy to separate the art from the artist.
Was he just very...
He's very anti-Semitic. I think quite racist in general as well. And like very unashamed of it. Kind of full on with it.
And he was very, like, especially when you come to like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and things like that, he was very like... The way he used to describe, like, some of the kids, especially, like, Augustus Gloop.
I think in general as well, the books are quite just mean and cruel. You can feel, like, a very bitter side to Roald Dahl. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think he suffered an awful lot of abuse when he was young.
Well, I guess you can kind of maybe get that through in some stories because there is, like...
Yeah, you can feel it in
like
Matilda,
parental figures and things like that. There's a lot of, like, even with George's Marvellous Medicine...
Yeah.
He's literally blowing up his grandma.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is a kind of... It taps into that wish fulfillment of the child, which is why they're so successful. Not to say, like, wish fulfillment is a criticism. I think it's good for those books. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there is always a very mean edge to them, I think. But when you can adapt it, you can lose some of that, and you can make it a very fun, relatable film.
Yeah, it just reminds me that, So, when I was in year 3 at school, we had to read Fantastic Mr. Fox. Well, we didn't. Our teacher read it to us. And to celebrate this occasion of reading Fantastic Mr. Fox, our teacher put taxidermy animals in our classroom.
Why?
So, like, they'd had them in, like, the glass display cases. And then when we were reading, she'd get them and put them on the desk, on, like, our tables. So, like, in the middle of the table, while you were reading Fantastic Mr Fox, there'd be a taxidermy fox. On another table, there was, like, a taxidermy badger.
I'm curious about this. How did the class react?
We thought it was quite cool at the time.
Okay, yeah. Actually, I suppose I probably would have done as well.
It's just a bit weird when you think about it, though, isn't it?
It is weird.
Yeah.
I imagine there are parental complaints.
I don't know.
I imagine there are kids went home and said, Mum, guess what happened today?
There was a fox on my table.
Yeah. Alright, so is that Fantastic Mr Fox winning?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hang on, I'm going first this time.
Yeah, no, I'm just picking one out. Right. Calm down.
Coraline. Another animated film.
Mm-hmm.
There's 3 animated films so far.
I guess this is slightly different. But I guess is Fantastic Mr Fox stop motion?
I'm thinking it might be.
Yeah,
I've got a feeling it is, isn't it?
Oh, I guess this is another... Oh, actually, this isn't really that obvious, I suppose. It depends on our taste, but I got Shaun of the Dead.
Ah. Oh, crikey. You're getting some tough films on this list then. Shrek 2, Return of the King, Fantastic Mr Fox, Shaun of the Dead, Coraline. Now it's getting harder. Mm-hmm. Right.
I know where my mind goes as to what I'd pick right off the bat.
I think you'd pick Shaun of the Dead.
I'd pick Shaun of the Dead, yeah.
I think I would as well.
I think I love, like, anything kind of zombie movie related.
Yeah.
And I love Edgar Wright, so I think it is just kind of the perfect film.
Yeah. I mean, I think Edgar Wright's become, like, seen nowadays as a really successful director. I don't think at the time he made them, he was, like, particularly well known outside of the UK. But he's now, like, seen as, like, one of the elite directors.
Well, didn't he do that one film one time when it was like a bunch of directors got together and did like their own little portions of like a story?
Oh, did they?
And I think it was like Quentin Tarantino, people like that, and Edgar Wright.
Yeah, I know there is a, I can't remember if it's Shaun of the Dead or Hot Fuzz, but there is a audio commentary where it's
with
Edgar
Quentin
Wright and Tarantino, yeah, just talking.
It is Shaun of the Dead, I think.
Is it?
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. I mean, I think Tarantino in general will just make for a really interesting audio commentary.
Odd guy.
He talks so passionately about movies.
And
well, they both do. Yeah, I mean, I guess it comes down to it. It's hard to say. It's harder to argue how good Shaun of the Dead is because it seems so obvious to me. I think if you don't know Shaun of the Dead or any of the Cornetto trilogy films, there's Hot Fuzz and The World's End as well. They're kind of each like a parody of something. This one's a parody of zombie movies, and they're all set in some sort of ordinary British town. There's often a lot of pub culture, I suppose, and just ordinary blokes enjoying that kind of life with a big parody spin on it. They're probably I think that the best parody films I can think of. I think often parodies like don't stand up beyond being a parody, whereas these are like just good movies in their own. Yeah. They're nothing to take too like. I mean, there are some serious moments in them. Yeah, it is. I think Shaun of the Dead is very moving. Yeah, but I think it is done in a way where it's like it's not just this is a sad moment. The sad moments also have a hint of humour to them as well. Yeah, and they're really well written. Yeah. And I find the idea of Shaun of the Dead a cool one anyway, of like a stuck in a relationship, feel like they're just going to the pub every night, wanting something more, and then there's a zombie apocalypse. And it's just seamlessly directed. Hard to... Can you say any criticism about Shaun of the Dead at all? No, I think Shaun of the Dead is one of the most perfect movies. I think it is as well. Yeah. And I think the pacing is perfect. I think the cast are so well cast. Yeah. Like, I don't think there's anyone that I would change in that film. I just think it's such a good film. I do. It's almost hard to argue. I mean, we said all this, I think, before recently in our movie rankings videos of the one we've seen this year. Because we've seen that and Coraline both in the cinemas. So we kind of talked about both of them already. Yeah. Coraline, I think, does have problems. Yes. I think Coraline's probably a deeper film, actually. I mean, I just made 4 different analysis videos on it in a row. So I probably would say that. And there's a surprising amount in it when you sort of get down to it. So I would say that. I think I probably prefer it to the book, actually, as well. We won't touch upon that there at the moment. I think my problem with the Coraline are some of it's not the best paced. I think there's a bit near the ending that's a bit rushed. I find when she is looking for the children's eyes thing, I find that bit is done like way too late. Yeah. And it's kind of... It feels like the movie's almost rushed. Wrapping up as that's happening, doesn't it? Yeah, and that gets to a big climax, and then after that there's a bit tacked on as well, where the claws still escapes, and they've got to deal with that, and that kind of feels tacked on. I think Wybie's very good in the film, it's a good addition. Yes. I think both voice actors there, is it Dakota Fanning as Coraline? Fanning. Both very, very strong, and I love just how tetchy and angsty they get with each other and all their arguments. I enjoy that with kids in a film. I don't like it when they present them as all perfect and good and non-annoying type things. So there's a lot to love about it, and the stop motion animation is beautiful. Same with Fantastic Mr Fox, if it is stop motion. I'm sure it is.
I think it is, yeah.
But Shaun of the Dead is a lot funnier.
Like, when we recently resaw them in cinemas, which did you enjoy more, Coraline or
Shaun of the Dead?
Shaun of the Dead.
I mean, do you laugh much at Coraline?
No.
No, I don't. I mean,
I think the only kind of funny moments are like probably like Mr Babinski.
And obviously Dawn French and Jennifer Saunders.
Thinking possible.
But it's even then it's not. It's more cosy and unsettling than it is funny. Shaun of the Dead is also quite cosy and at times kind of unsettling.
I guess like Shaun of the Dead almost feels like familiar in a way, like because it is such like a British kind of movie. Like the mum in Shaun of the Dead is kind of just like stereotypical British mum. Yeah. So there is like a comfort level to Shaun of the Dead, I suppose. I
mean, everything about it is just relatable somehow. Yeah. Despite the fact it's a zombie movie. It does just feel like, the sort of life I've grown up with. Whereas Coraline is a British book, but is translated into an American film, which I kind of like, to be fair. Yeah. But I suppose personally that does make it less familiar. Yeah, I mean, that kind of says it, I think, as well. Shaun of the Dead is a lot funnier. It has that. Shaun of the Dead is also quite... It's kind of scary, I suppose, in moments. Yeah, when I first watched it, and for like a few years afterwards, I used to really hate the scene when David gets ripped through the window. Yeah. I couldn't watch that. Yeah. Which I don't... I mean, it is quite well done, I suppose, at the time. What is this film? It must be
2004, was it?
Is it?
Yeah, because it was the 20th anniversary when we saw it in cinemas.
Ah, yeah. So for its age, it's aged incredibly well. Like, none of the effects look particularly bad or anything. Yeah. Alright, Shaun of the Dead. Do you reckon that's going to win this whole list?
I mean, it's up there, definitely.
If it does, that's kind of spoiled the video already.
I got Boy and the Heron.
Oh, yeah. I forgot we'd seen that until the other day. Yeah. Ugly movie. I got Scooby Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed.
Well, this is a clear winner right here.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk about Scooby Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed then, aren't we?
Yeah, I could do that.
You're up to that? You're eager for that?
Yeah.
Alright, go on then.
I bloody love Scooby Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed.
Yeah.
I think it is quite possibly one of my favourite films.
Which is very odd because you can't remember anything about the first one.
Well, I've never seen the first one.
You've never seen it?
No.
But you loved the second one, but you've never seen the first one. What?
I don't know. This is like Scooby Doo 2 is another one of the films that I would watch constantly when I was younger.
Right.
A, because of my love for Matthew Lillard. Because that's also why I'd watch like 13 Ghosts over and over again.
Yes.
And B, I just think it is a perfect film.
Perfect?
Yes.
Perfect is a very strong word to use.
Cinematic masterpiece.
In terms of Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed.
Cinematic masterpiece.
Perfect.
Yes.
You can't think of any flaws in this movie.
No. Can you?
Yes.
What?
The Scooby-Doo effects aren't the best.
Yeah, but it's an old film. You can't.
Alright. All of the humour is very kiddish humour. There's not like... It's not like with,
Do you laugh when watching Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed?
Yes.
Exactly. But so clearly the humour isn't just kiddish.
It's not like Paddington, where there's a lot of very different types of humour and things. Most of the humour is Scooby-Doo and Shaggy doing dumb things. Yes. It's kind of quite one note in that level.
You've got Velma in a sexy catsuit.
I never liked that as a kid either. No. I just think they look very impractical and awkward, and as they do in the scene. That was as a kid, that was the first time I'd seen something like that. And I was just confused by it. Like, well, why is she wearing that?
I was probably more confused, but more sexuality-wise than...
Okay. There are definitely flaws with Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed.
I'd say there's more flaws, though, with Boy and the Heron than there are Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed.
Would you really?
Yes.
Scooby-Doo 2 bombed at the box office, and they were planning to make a third film, but it did so badly they never did.
Well, people can be wrong.
Yes, they can, and I would have liked a third film. I'm not denying that. I do very much like Scooby-Doo Monsters Unleashed as well. I very much enjoyed it in childhood, and I very much enjoyed it when we watched it again about a year ago.
And we keep meaning to watch it again, but we get halfway through and then...
There's a flaw. Getting halfway through a film.
No, it's because we tend to start watching it at like 10 p.m, and then by the time we're halfway through, we're like, oh, we should probably go to bed because it's getting late.
As opposed to being hooked and needing to see the
I
end.
am hooked, but I know the end.
You're not hooked on Scooby-Doo Monsters Unleashed.
I watched it every day for like 2 or 3 years.
It's not a gripping film, though, is it? It's not like The Fugitive where you're on the edge of your seat.
No, it isn't. On the edge of my seat the entire time.
No, you're not.
Yes.
You're lying down in bed when you're watching it. I've seen you. There are definitely flaws of Scooby-Doo.
Okay, I'll just write down Scooby-Doo 2 wins this one then.
No, hang on. We haven't even talked about Boy and the Heron. Boy and the Heron is a visual masterpiece.
Visually, yes.
Do you not like Boy and the Heron?
I think Boy and the Heron is probably down there with my least favourite Studio Ghibli movies I've ever seen.
Is it?
I think visually, gorgeous. I think the general premise of the story is very good, but I think certain parts feel very rushed. I think the ending feels very rushed.
Yeah.
I think that the story tries way too hard to have meaning, but trying too hard to have meaning makes it lose some of the meaning.
I don't know if it tries to have meaning. I think it tries too hard to present it it's very trying to force it and not quite finding the words.
That's kind of what I mean. But it trying so hard at that kind of makes it lose some of the.
Yeah, I think the movie does feel a bit like when you have a really good idea, but it's sort of on the edge of your brain, and as you're talking, you're figuring out what the idea is.
Yeah.
The movie feels like that the whole way through.
And I remember leaving the screening being I don't know if I enjoyed that, and I don't know what to make of it. I mean, whereas every time I've watched Scooby-Doo 2, afterwards I'm like,
yeah, but that's because there's no depth to it. You don't have to struggle with what to make of Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed, because there's nothing to make of it.
It's a perfect film.
But Boy and the Heron, you could say it's challenging. You could make that argument, couldn't you? That's why it's a struggle, because it challenges you in a way. I do think it is. I think it's the most Miyazaki of Miyazaki films in that he's known for creating his films without a set plan. He's still storyboarding them as the film is being animated, so they can be very all over the place.
But this felt like it never actually got any.
It is really all over the place.
It is all over the place, yeah. It was never edited. It was just set out as. It
feels like a dream, I think, a lot of the times. But that's probably what a lot of people would love about this. How dreamlike and odd it feels, and you just you don't know where it's going or any of that. It makes but
I don't know where it went either. That's the thing, you don't know where it's going and you don't know where it went afterwards because you're left confused.
Yeah, I think there is a lot in the film. All right, Scooby-Doo 2 wins on the comedy front. Yes.
Okay, I'll put that down then.
Hey. Boy and the Heron still made me laugh. There are some funny bits in that. Do you remember? The Heron in general.
Oh,
and
we should say Robert Pattinson's voice acting in that is so good.
Yeah, we saw the English dub. That was the one. I don't know if we chose it or if it's just the one that was available. I think it was the only one that was
showing at our cinema.
Yeah, okay. And he's very good in that.
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe was good. Yeah, Christian Bale, I didn't think was that great in it. And there's a lot of very moving bits. The burning hospital at the beginning from the war. There's the bit where there's all the paper bandages and he's trying to reach through. Is really moving. And I do like the idea of having this world that each day you're having to try and balance it and keep evil at bay, and it's a constant struggle and you can't really win, and how exhausting that is. And that does kind of feel like a film of Miyazaki himself being exhausted. So it's very moving and sweet. And Scooby-Doo 2 doesn't have that.
Yeah, it does.
Where?
When Shaggy and Scooby feel like they're useless and can't do anything right. Or Daphne, who is constantly made to feel like she's just a pretty girl. She has no other qualities.
Yeah, but that's
heartbreaking, saddening.
It's not heartbreaking. It's taking their cartoon characters and the stereotypes their cartoon were, and then the characters now going, look at this stereotype I have. I'm more than that.
Yes.
That's not the same level of depth, is it?
Yeah, I think it is.
No.
Yeah.
In general, I think the way they perform the characters is really cartoonish.
Yeah, but that's kind of.
Which suits, yeah, and it suits for kids. Does it make it as engaging, though?
Yes.
As an adult?
I've probably seen it over 150 times.
As a child, though? How many times have you seen it as an adult?
Oh, quite a lot still.
I'm not saying I don't love Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed. But actually, I'll tell you what. Yeah, we can have Scooby-Doo 2 win, because it's going to come up against a more difficult film in a moment. And if you're going to argue it's better than Return of the King, or something like that, then we're going to be having words. Next up, we have V for Vendetta against...
Attack the Block.
Oh god, there's so many good films on this list. And Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed as well. I think this is a clear winner for me as well. Maybe not for you, because you've once I mean, you always said
I
V for
consider V for
Vendetta
Vendetta to be one of my favourite movies ever made.
Yeah, and when I first met you, you said it was your favourite. I don't know if I would rate it as highly as you. I very much enjoy it, and I really like the idea behind it, but I also feel like the message is quite straightforward.
It is, but then I don't think a film has to have a big, meaningful... Because I think it is meaningful in its own way. And I think there are certain scenes which are heartbreaking, like when...
Yeah.
What, Evie?
I can't remember.
He's in that prison cell, and there's the note.
Yeah. I mean, and I do love how comic book the film feels. Like, in a not in like a Marvel way, but in a like proper comic book where everything like just kind of pops.
Also, it's got Stephen Fry in, and who doesn't love Stephen Fry?
It does, doesn't it? It's also got Roger Allam playing a very Alex Jones character. Is it Jason Isaacs, is it? Or is it the other one I get confused with?
It's Hugo Weaving as V for Vendetta.
Yeah, I always confuse them
Or
too.
V.
And they're all very good in it, Natalie Portman as well. Mm-hmm. Attack the Block, I think, has got more to it, though.
I love Attack the Block.
Attack the Block's funnier. I think it's more moving. I think it's more meaningful. I think it flows a lot better as well. Mm-hmm. Attack the Block even has action, actually, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
They beat up an alien. Attack the Block is massively underrated as a film, actually, isn't it? I don't know. Is that one known outside of the UK?
I don't know. It kind of, to me, has like... It's a very similar feel to Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz. Yeah. Them kind of films. And it does have Nick Frost in as well.
Yep. It stars a very young John Boyega.
John Boyega.
Yeah. God knows how old he was then. I mean,
I think he was about 16, 17.
Okay. And it's about basically living on a block in London, I think it is. I assume it's London.
Yeah, like a big tower block.
Yeah. Not a nice area to live.
No.
And suddenly an alien crash lands in their yard and they find it and...
It's also got Jodie Whittaker.
Oh yeah, it does, doesn't it?
The old Doctor Who.
They find this alien, they kill it, as they would, they shank it.
Yeah.
And it causes more alien problems afterwards. And it's just a really good film about that kind of the struggle of living in that environment in general.
Yeah.
And the alien just becomes a good like kind of springboard to bring out all of the general tensions and struggles you get there. And with the police, of course, as well, and who gets blamed a lot of the situations. And what I just love in particular about it is all of the kid characters, how like sort of intimidating and scary they present themselves as, and they are. I mean, they would kill people.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like one of the first scenes is them mugging Jodie Whittaker's character, right?
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then also they end up in a situation where they're together, and suddenly they are like children again. Mm-hmm. And she is so much like a mother.
Yeah,
they're wanting that from her, like a mum figure. And that's just kind of the typical situation you would get, and it's developmental trauma in a lot of ways, I suppose you'd say. Just feels very much like... Because I've worked with kids like that, who are very scary and would probably stab people. I mean, mine are slightly younger than that, so maybe not yet, but they could go on to that. Mm-hmm. And yet they're also incredibly, when you get under it, incredibly sweet and incredibly childish at the same time. And I just love that idea. I love exploring that in a film.
Yeah, I as much as I love V for Vendetta, I do think I would pick Attack the Block. Because I think, like, when it comes to rewatchability, things like that, I think V for Vendetta is one of them films you could watch, like, once or twice.
Yeah.
But I think Attack the Block I could probably watch over and over again. I think it's so good. And you'd probably, see different things each time, or, like...
Yeah, I think you would. There's so many different layers to it. That's one I really want to watch again now, actually.
I really want to watch it again. I got Groundhog Day.
Okay, which you didn't see until last Christmas.
No.
And I called it a Christmas film in one of my videos, and then discovered Groundhog Day is an actual...
holiday.
Yeah, and it's in February.
Oh, really?
So I was completely wrong.
Was it just because it was snowing you were a bit confused?
Yeah. Yeah, I put Sleepy Hollow. I mean, I picked up Sleepy Hollow. This has been an interesting one, because you love Sleepy Hollow, don't you?
Yeah.
And I do love Groundhog Day, to be honest. Despite, I think there are flaws to that. I think there's flaws to both of them, to be honest.
Yes.
Which would you pick?
As much as I have kind of fallen out of love with Tim Burton as I've gotten older.
Yeah.
Because Sleepy Hollow was a film that I watched when I was quite young. And I guess when I was, very, what do you call it? Emo?
Yeah. I mean, well, you were as a child, weren't you? You were very emo. Yeah. Did you even have the, raw in your,
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, and I had, the hair, hair the fringe that starts one side of your head and, goes up, comes over.
Yeah.
And I used to hold it with, Hello... I say I had more, the scene kind of aesthetic than emo, but we'll move on. And I was super into, Tim Burton, because I think he's, the pinnacle of...
I mean, every kid at that age, I think, is into Tim Burton a lot.
No.
The outcast side of it speaks to you, I think.
I know, and I think I just kind of love how dark Sleepy Hollow is.
I do.
But I think, like, there's... Especially, like, not even, like, the dark kind of, like, story, but I think, like, the way it's filmed,
Yeah.
I think he's very good.
Yeah, I mean, I think if there's one thing you can rely on Tim Burton for, it's atmosphere. I don't know if atmosphere enough on its own is enough to win it. I mean, because I can't honestly remember really much about the story other than it's kind of a ghost story.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'd say the story...
It's pretty much... The story is pretty much... The Headless Horseman is coming for certain people in this little village, and he's getting controlled by someone who is using his, like, skull to command him back every night.
The fact I'd kind of forgotten that, though, is that a mark against the film?
Probably.
Groundhog Day, I think its biggest advantage is that just the premise is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And it does make you think about what you would do if you were in Groundhog Day.
Yeah, but he is also incredibly creepy.
Yes. I think this film was made in the 90s, so I think every male lead in any romance is really creepy.
Mm-hmm.
And they probably still are, to be honest, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, what It Ends With Us came out recently, didn't it? That's got to be creepy.
Well, I mean, that's kind of touching on...
Yeah, creepy's probably the wrong word. I'd say abusive for that one.
Yes, yeah, well, it is a story about domestic violence.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, that was a whole mess in itself, wasn't it, that film? But,
yeah. But, I mean, he does have an arc there. I mean, he's not meant to be a good person to begin with, and he does learn to appreciate someone rather than just, like, wanting to possess them. So there is that in it.
But he's also changing up each day to make a woman sleep with him.
Yeah, to begin with, but I mean, that's obviously...
Which has to be some type of, like,
actually, yeah.
sexual assault grey area.
I suppose it is, isn't it, really? Yeah. I was about to
Coercion.
argue. I was about to say he changes by the end, but that... Oh, it was just one mistake. God, yeah. I mean, it is problematic in a lot of those senses, yeah. But the general, like, theme and the heart of the movie is still very strong.
Yeah.
And it's a cool... There's a lot of philosophy ideas you could probably draw out of that. And the comedy's good. I think it's a better movie than Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah,
I think there's less wrong with it. Okay, all right. I thought I was going to have to make a big argument. There we go.
Well, you let me have Scooby Doo too, so...
I've let you have it so far.
We'll see.
We're seeing what's going to come up against next. I'm hoping it comes up against something really good, so we just have to knock it out. I have got... I can't even open it. I've ripped it. Chicken Run, another animated film, another stop-motion animated film.
I got Hot Fuzz.
It's Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead in this list.
Yep.
And Attack the Block. It didn't pull out the most random ones, did it? I wouldn't say. So where do we start with Hot Fuzz and Chicken? Should we start about Chicken Run? Because stop-motion film by the people who made Wallace and Gromit about...
chickens who were in concentration camp-esque... prisoner of war camp?
Yeah, it's like a battery farm, but it's also like the Great Escape movie, which is just a really cool idea. And they like lean into that as much as possible. They do have they looks like a concentration camp.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, no, prisoner of war camp.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that'd be a very dark film if it's concentration, wouldn't it? Although I suppose they are killing the chickens, so.
Yep.
But yeah, prisoner of war camp that they're escaping from. It's got the military commander in it. It's a really fun movie.
There's one of the chickens who is like an old war vet. He has like his medals.
Yeah.
He's called Fowler.
Yeah, he's really fun in the film. And I recently loved the second movie, which I don't think got much hype or interest.
It was kind of straight to Netflix thing, wasn't it?
I wish they hadn't. I wish it had got a movie release because it deserved that.
To say that they work like 5 years on these movies.
I think it took 10, the second one, because of like issues. I think their studio got burnt down halfway through.
Oh, yeah, and a lot of the models were destroyed.
But Chicken Run is a very strong film. It's one of those films, I think, where you don't initially think of it as like one of your favourites, and you watch it and like, actually, yeah, this is really good.
Yeah.
It is really good. It's just a cool idea. It's oddly shown a lot of Christmas. I don't know why.
I guess that could be due to the fact that they show like other Aardman stuff like Wallace and Gromit so much at Christmas.
Maybe, yeah. As I think of it as a Christmas movie. It's a great one to watch with a family on Christmas Day, I think. It's just a solid kids movie. I think the sort of like the farming, anti-battery farming angles aren't shoved down your throat. It doesn't feel like super political.
No.
It makes the point without it like taking away from the story and just being a fun story. Very well animated. But it's against Hot Fuzz, which everything we said about Shaun of the Dead applies to Hot Fuzz.
Do you prefer Shaun of the Dead or Hot Fuzz?
I think I prefer Hot Fuzz.
Yeah?
Partly that's because that's the first one I saw, and Hot Fuzz, if you haven't seen it, is again another parody. This one's like a buddy cop parody.
Yeah.
And it's like this super cop gets sent for various reasons to a very small, quaint British village that
where
wins.
like nothing seemingly happens.
Yeah,
like...
wins Village of the Year, but then there's this really odd murder story that comes out of it. And it's I think like script wise, it's stronger than Hot Fuzz. I think it's more quotable. I probably think it's more quotable.
Yeah.
I think it's not as relatable as Shaun of the Dead, though. Like, it's easier to relate to who Shaun is than to a super cop.
Yeah. Well, in this one, I think it's easier to relate to, like, Danny.
Yeah, that is. But even then, you're not really a policeman or anything.
No, but he's not really, is he?
No. I think if you're a policeman, this is probably one of the ones that would be a lot of people's favourite movie. Especially because it highlights paperwork a lot. You get really dramatic montages of them doing police paperwork, which is really cool. It's again just a flawless movie, and it's hard to know what to say about it other than that.
I do love the comedy in this one.
I do.
I think it's so good. I love on his first night when he, like, in the village, and he goes to the pub and he, like, arrests all the teenagers drinking underage.
Yeah.
I love that.
And that's how out of culture that is with what a village is like.
Yeah.
And they just sort of accept that you're supposed to allow them. It again feels very, very British. I mean, I like the heart sort of side of it, of the trying to switch off from work and not just be that is a cool idea.
Mm-hmm. And it's got some massive cameos from Kate Blanchett, Peter Jackson.
Stephen Merchant's there.
Mm-hmm.
Timothy Dalton, the old Bond.
Yep.
Jim Broadbent. I mean, to be honest, all of them have a massive cast. Because it just looks like films. Well, I'm sure actors must just go, Edgar Wright, if you're going to make another one of these films, please can I be in it? Because they look so fun.
I adored David Bradley in this movie as well.
Oh, yeah, David Bradley's in it.
With Sax and the dog.
Yeah. It would just be an absolute blast being in one of them.
I remember when you once did on your YouTube channel, you did like a ranking of all the films that you had done videos on prior.
Yeah.
And you did the Cornetto trilogy, and someone said that it was sexist, Hot Fuzz.
And because of the way they treat the female police officer.
Yeah, but I think it's meant to be like set in a time when it's like...
Yeah, it's kind of what it's poking fun at.
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
The way, how old-fashioned and out-of-date a village police force is.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true nowadays, but...
Like, it's not... The film itself isn't sexist. It's poking fun at the fact that this is how...
Yeah. And I like it for doing that, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think, like, Olivia Colman is just perfect.
Yeah, she's become such a big actor that it almost feels funny seeing her in, like, the small things I remember knowing her for at first. Because she's huge now, isn't she?
Yeah. And she was, like, in Peep Show she was in.
Yeah, in Mitchell and Webb, sketch show in general. It's also got Rafe Spall. He was in... He's in all three of the Cornetto trilogy, I think.
Yeah, you've also got Paddy Constantine.
Paddy Constantine, yeah, of course you do. He's also become a big actor now.
Yeah.
So many people like that in these films. Anyway, yeah. Hot Fuzz win it?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Is that all of them?
Mm-hmm.
It is. So we are on to the quarterfinals, and rather than just have it like a traditional knockout tournament where it would have been Return of the King and Shrek 2, fantastic, like arranging the table, we've put them back into the pot. I mean, the mug with coffee still in it. It mixes things up a bit because I think there's some that are still really obvious in these combos. And I have mixed them up a bit.
Mm-hmm. Shall I go first?
Yep.
I got Fantastic Mr Fox.
And I bet this is a stop motion one to go with it. Oh, are there any stop motion left? I don't know. Oh, it's Groundhog Day. Fantastic Mr Fox and Groundhog Day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think I'd just say right off the bat, Fantastic Mr Fox.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's just more complete as a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Groundhog Day's very good, but apart from Bill Murray and I can't remember her name anymore, there's not really many characters that have much investment on.
Is it Andy?
Yes,
whatever
it is.
Her name is.
Yes. No, or was that a character name?
I think that's her real name, though, isn't it, as well?
I think it is, yeah. No, I think they do a really good job setting out the community, and you get a sense of that. But I don't know. In a way, Fantastic Mr. Fox, the world even there feels more fleshed out.
Yeah,
which is odd to say.
Because there's so many other fun characters in Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yeah, I think they're both movies in a way about someone who feels a bit stuck in their life.
Yeah.
But I think I mean, it's kind of the point in a way, I suppose. So it doesn't, a bit odd criticising it. But in Groundhog Day, it feels like everything is there for Bill Murray's character, whatever he's called. I think. Whereas Fantastic Mr Fox, this feels like independent characters who have lives of their own and exist in their own ways. Yeah, I just think it's a better movie in general, though.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think we need to say too much there. What else is next then? I'll pull one out. That puts Fantastic Mr Fox into the semi-final. Mm-hmm. It is Return of the King.
Return of the King versus Scooby Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed.
Oh, God, I said it would be against that, didn't I? I said it would. Right, you're not going to argue that's better than Return of the King, are you?
No.
No, you're not. You're not. I mean, even like you love Return of the King.
I do.
So you can't argue that.
Oh, I just wish there was like a combo movie between Lord of the Rings and Scooby Doo.
What do you mean a combo movie? What's that mean?
Where it's the gang trying to like figure out what the mystery is behind like Sauron and
the mystery behind Sauron. What mystery is there behind Sauron?
The gang trying to hunt down Frodo.
Hunt him. What are they? The ring wraiths, are they?
Yeah.
In your version.
Yeah.
So we go back in the mystery machine instead of a Nazgul.
Yeah.
No.
Stay
right.
off the road, and it's the mystery machine.
Right. In all seriousness and in all good faith.
I mean, I was deadly serious when I was talking about Scooby Doo before.
Well, you did. It was better than Boy and Heron.
Yeah.
Well, in all seriousness and good faith, you are not going to argue Scooby Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed is better than Lord of the Rings Return of the King.
I mean, it's close.
How is it? How? It's not. No.
Because it makes me happy.
That's a very sweet answer in a way. But yeah, I'm pleased it makes you happy. It makes me happy too. But Return of the King also makes me happy.
Yes.
And it also makes me a lot of other things as well. Mm-hmm. I don't think Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed makes you think about anything. Does it?
Yes.
It's like a switch your brain off kind of movie, isn't it?
It's deep and meaningful.
It's not deep and meaningful. There's stuff in it, and it's got a cool dance scene at the end.
Poor old man Winkle.
And I love that they call the town Coolsville.
My old ringtone was Fred doing that I think Coolsville sucks.
Yeah, it's good. The way he says that, we should probably cut that into this video.
So what you're saying is, it's all downhill for Mystery Inc.
No! Hey, you're doing that thing again where you take everything I say out of context. You're trying to make it look like I think Coolsville sucks.
Because it's good for a message tone. And I don't know why why did you take it off?
Because when I was sat on the bus or like in town or something, in a really quiet space, and all of a sudden, I think Coolsville sucks goes on.
Yeah. But mine's Jim Broadbent from Paddington going, Marmalade?
Yeah.
Right, so we were saying Return of the King is better, though.
Fine.
Yes. It is. Shall I pull one out?
Mm-hmm.
Shrek 2.
Versus...
I'm going to guess it's Shaun of the Dead.
It's Attack the Block.
Ah, that's quite a hard one, actually. Why do you think it is that Attack the Block's so forgotten as a movie? It's not one you hear about ever talked about. Like, I mean, the Cornetto trilogy is a cult classics. Mm-hmm. And I think Attack the Block probably is, but I never hear anyone mention it.
I don't hear anyone talking about it. Had you heard of it when I said that I wanted to watch it?
Yeah, I had. I hadn't seen it, but I'd heard of it. But I think that was because I remember hearing about when it was coming out, rather than hearing, oh, this is a classic movie worth watching. Do you think that's a mark against it, that it's been forgotten? Is there a reason for that?
No, I don't think... Because I can't figure out why it has been forgotten, because I think it is as good as the Cornetto trilogy.
I do. It's the only film I can think that is like the Cornetto trilogy as well. Mm-hmm. Slightly darker.
I think the cast is very good.
I do.
I think all the kids are great.
And it's nice seeing... I mean, I feel sorry for John Boyega now.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him
He
do
seems
more.
like such a sweetheart as well.
I'm thinking Attack the Block.
I'm thinking Attack the Block.
But I don't really have a clear argument.
I don't. But if we're both thinking it...
Yeah.
If anyone hasn't seen it, I would recommend it 100%. It's very good.
I just think it's better.
I do.
I feel like I should be saying something of meaning here, but we have already discussed them. I just think it's better.
It is, yeah.
I just think it's better. That's a shame, though. I'm
saying
surprised...
that, though, Shrek 2 is also a perfect movie.
And that's what I think. Shrek 2 feels it's flawless in what it does. So it feels kind of harsh knocking it out.
I think it probably comes
is
down
Attack the Block flawless?
I'd say so, probably.
Maybe. Yeah. Is it just personal taste?
I think it is personal taste as to... And obviously the last two are...
Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. Oh, crikey.
This is where we won't agree.
Because like you said earlier, you're going to say Shaun of the Dead, I'm going to say Hot Fuzz. I think while Shaun of the Dead is more easy to relate to, Hot Fuzz is better. And there's so many things, so many ways Hot Fuzz has affected my life. It's the reason I own a Japanese peace lily before it died, and then I bought another Japanese peace lily when I was a bit older and a bit more responsible to look after one.
And it's still dying.
Yes, but it's not fully dead. Tell me why Shaun of the Dead is better than Hot Fuzz in your opinion.
Because I personally just enjoy it more. And I used to find like Shaun of the Dead as a comfort movie almost when I was younger.
Yeah, but I'd said it about Hot Fuzz. I can't remember we used to watch that whenever I had a sleepover with my friends, and it used to get to the bit, where his head gets caved in by the church roof, and we used to pause it and click through every single individual frame to see what happens to his head. And there's one frame where his head's just like the top of it goes flat.
What, before it hits?
Yeah, I found that really funny for some reason. Simon Pegg is more fun in Shaun of the Dead.
Yes.
Both of them get to be quite fun in that film, whereas he's very much the straight man in Hot Fuzz. Dylan Moran isn't in Hot Fuzz.
Which is a big negative for me.
I think Jim Broadbent.
But I think Dylan Moran should have been in Hot Fuzz.
I do.
I think he's perfect for them kind of roles.
You got Jim Broadbent, and you got Timothy Dalton, and you've got... I like all of the... I think... that's probably something I prefer about actual Hot Fuzz. There's a bigger cast of characters.
Yes, yeah.
In like Shaun of the Dead, there's 5 of them? Then his parents, or mum and his stepdad. Pete's briefly there.
John and his wife.
Who's John?
The bar guy.
They don't really get any dialogue. They don't count.
No, but they're still
there's just
in it
person about...
a bit.
Well, yeah, well, all right. Well, Hot Fuzz, you've got what? You've got Nicholas Angel, you've got Danny Butterman and his dad, you've got both of the Andys. Mm-hmm. You've got, is she called Doris? I've forgotten Olivia Colman's name. You've got Saxon and whatever the guy with him is. You've got Kevin Eldon's character. So you've got the Reverend. You've got Leslie Tiller. You've got the two in the hotel. There's a big cast of characters, and that I think feels stronger in that film. And that's probably partly because Shaun of the Dead's set in London. You don't really get the sense of a fully
Village
enclosed
feel,
community. No. And I find that so much more cosy, and it makes for a more sort of just fleshed out environment. It's more immersive, I think, Hot Fuzz in that way, because you've got this whole big cast of characters, and all of them got something proper to do rather than just being there.
Yeah. And
I think that's really skillful in the writing.
Got David Threffel as Martin
Yes, you
Blair.
do. Yeah, and Eve Draper with a funny laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's loads of people in that, and all of them somehow get a solid conclusion.
Yeah.
And I just think it's really well done. I don't know if it necessarily makes it more fun to watch, but I think it's better written. I think it feels like they learnt a lot from Shaun of the Dead and took it a step further.
I don't agree.
No?
No. I think it's tough to say that Hot Fuzz is better, like, cast-wise and, like, feel-wise, because one is meant to feel cosy and comforting because it's, like, a small village.
Yeah.
Whereas the other one is, like, and people are having to isolate themselves because it is a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
So it is kind of harder to judge it in that way because that is the sole purpose of the film.
I suppose, but even so, it's I think, more of a challenging feat to write a film like Hot Fuzz and succeed in that, whereas Shaun of the Dead is probably easier to write. And again, that doesn't necessarily make it better, but I think I don't know, I find that something really cool. There's also the farmer and his mum.
When she gets kicked in the face.
Yep, which is always a fun bit. I think Hot Fuzz is a better film.
I don't agree.
I think the music's stronger.
I don't think so.
No? Well, I've got to say something that convinces you.
I love the bit at the start, music-wise, when they're, like, at the pub and, like, they're singing outside.
Yeah. That's not the music. That's not the
music.
Yeah,
it
that's
technically
them.
is.
Right.
There's the scene with Queen.
Yeah.
Like when they've got the pool cues.
I've never liked that bit too much, though. I find it too. I mean, I don't dislike it, but I don't find it as satisfying as it could be. I find it too straightforward.
I kind of enjoy that Diane and Barbara are sat there like clapping along. I like that bit.
Yeah, I mean, it is a good bit.
Or where they're DJing after the pub.
Alright, how about this then? Hot Fuzz has car chases, gunfights, fist fights, a cowboy showdown.
Shaun of the Dead has speeding cars, gunfights.
It doesn't have speeding. It has one person driving fast while the radio's blaring. That's not a car chase.
Which is a great scene.
It's not
and
a car
then
chase with
there's
guns.
the scene where Phil's in the car, zombified. I enjoy that. And the
break in and take over the supermarket.
Well, they break in and take over the Winchester.
They don't break in and take it. That's not like a fighting for it, though, is it? As an action elements, there's a lot more of that in Hot Fuzz.
I do like that bit in Hot Fuzz, to be fair.
Yeah, there's loads of that.
Where Olivia Colman's character hits the woman with the wet floor sign.
Hot Fuzz is also more spooky, I think, and creepy.
Yeah.
It kind of scared me the first time I saw it, not like fully, but there were bits where I was like a little bit on edge. You got loads of chase scenes. You got the chase scene after Leslie Tiller. You got the chase scene at night through the Corum Commune Communitatis bit. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot more...
They're chasing the biscuit guy and hit him with the paint can.
Yeah. And there's a mystery element, which is really intriguing. And you don't get that in Shaun of the Dead. Because the mystery element is really good, figuring out who's committing these murders. And I really like that as a trope as well, that he comes up with this really brilliant solution for who it is. And there's all these clever layers to it, and he lays it out, and that's completely wrong, and it's something really stupid is the actual reason. I really like that as an idea. Yeah. And
You've got, what's his real name? The guy who plays the Hound in Game of Thrones?
Yes.
What's his real name?
I can't remember, but he's very good in that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Surely that convinces you then.
No, I still think that Shaun of the Dead's better.
They're even on comedy, they're even on story, but action and mystery, Hot Fuzz wins it.
Yeah, but that doesn't make it better.
Well, if there's 4 different things there...
There's action in Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, but not as good as Hot Fuzz. Hot Fuzz has better action.
Yeah, but I don't really like action movies.
Well, that doesn't mean it's not a better movie, though.
Yes, it does.
Just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's not as good.
We're talking opinion, and based on opinion... I prefer Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, based on opinion, you preferred Scooby Doo to Boy and the Heron.
Well, and I was right because we both agreed it won.
I let you win on the basis that it was going to lose next to something else, like Return of the King, which it did. Hot Fuzz has more to it than Shaun of the Dead. Mm-mm. It does.
No.
You haven't put together any argument to say otherwise.
It's just better.
It's not. You can't just say that.
Yes, I can.
It's not an argument.
Yes, I can.
No, that's just disputing. That's contradicting.
I just get way more excited when I'm watching Shaun of the Dead than I ever do.
And you're perfectly entitled to prefer it. But
yes.
That doesn't mean it's
so I'm
better.
perfectly entitled to argue my point that it's better?
No, that doesn't... No.
Yes.
There's a difference between preferring something and it being better.
Yes, but this is all opinions. Me saying that Boy and the Heron is better than Scooby Doo is an opinion.
All right, but if your subjective opinion is Shaun of the Dead is better, my subjective opinion is Hot Fuzz is better.
So Shaun of the Dead's better?
No. If you think that and I think this, then we can't decide either way. So the thing that can decide it is which one's objectively better. And objectively, Hot Fuzz is better.
Or if we can't agree, we put them both back in the hat, and whichever one we pick out's better.
No, that's not how that works.
Well, I'm not going to agree with you.
But
and you are not touching this pen.
I let you have Scooby Doo. You're going to let me have this one.
No, because I let you have something else in there as well, but I can't remember what it was.
What did you let me have?
I can't remember what it was.
What, Groundhog Day over Sleepy Hollow?
Yeah, probably.
But you agree Groundhog Day is better than Sleepy Hollow?
To some extent.
Well, you do, because you even said it. You didn't let me win it. You agreed.
Right, well, I'll just pencil in Shaun of the Dead.
No, you won't. Hot Fuzz is better than Shaun of the Dead. It is.
No.
It is. They'd matured much more as writers by then, and they did something more.
I think Shaun of the Dead is probably the most popular out of them all with the general audience.
It's more
and
relatable.
I think it's more iconic than Hot Fuzz.
I don't know if it's more iconic. I think it's more relatable. I think Hot Fuzz is also very iconic. Mm-hmm. I mean, how often do police in Britain on Twitter have to make a post about a swan escaping because of Hot Fuzz? Happens a lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how often do the police force make Shaun of the Dead quotes?
Probably often, because there's now, like, the zombie drugs, isn't there?
Yeah, but there's only so often there's a girl in the garden. There's a lot more often there's a swan that's escaped. There's a life lesson, and there's Hot Fuzz for you.
No, Shaun of the Dead's better.
It's not, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. Mm-hmm. I think it's perfectly fine running it more enjoyable, and I can see that it's a lot more relatable. It's got more heart that's easy to feel.
So you're saying it's more enjoyable? So if I enjoy it more...
Yeah, you enjoy it more, but it doesn't mean it's as good.
But I don't think Hot Fuzz is as good.
Yeah, that's like, I would much rather enjoy watching Scooby-Doo Monsters Unleashed than I would reading A War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy.
Well, there we go. Scooby-Doo 2 is better than War and Peace.
No, it isn't. That's not how that works. I'd rather, I don't know, do a Sudoku than I would read all of Shakespeare right now.
Well, there we go.
No. That's not how that works.
Yes, it is.
Hot Fuzz, you're going to let me have this one. Hot Fuzz is winning.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Well, we're just going to sit here for hours arguing then, if that's the case.
Well, no, we're going to have to cut out all of the audio for this because we argue for that long. You wanted to play Baldur's Gate soon. It's warm in this room.
I guess we'll never find out what happens
and
in the rest of Baldur's Gate.
And you get warmer than me. We know what happens in the rest of Baldur's Gate.
Well, I meant with our companions.
It gets warm in this room.
Yep.
And you get warmer quicker than I do. Therefore, you were going to cave in before I do.
Nope.
Hot Fuzz is better than Shaun of the Dead.
Let's just sit here then. Do you want to read War and Peace?
I don't have it. See, the longer this goes on, the more you're going to have to edit out, because you're the one editing this.
Yeah, but it's easy to edit out large chunks of silence.
Well, I'm not going to fill it with silence, I'm going to keep talking.
Go, do it then.
And then
go on.
And then the more this goes on, the more work you give yourself to edit.
Yap on like you usually do.
Says you. Says you. I barely fit a wide in edgeways. I'm going to do, you're not listening. So, I don't know how much that we will keep in the edit, but the argument went on for quite a while, I would say. Mm-hmm. Probably longer than the rest of the video on its own. And we haven't decided. So, it's Hot Fuzz / Shaun of the Dead going into the next round. Mm-hmm. Into the semi-final?
Yeah.
Alright, do you want to pull it out first?
So this is to decide which 2 films are going to be against each other in this round.
Yeah.
So we've got Hot Fuzz / Shaun of the Dead.
And I have Attack the Block. This is hard. So that would have been a good final. That means the other one is Return of the King and something. Fantastic Mr. Fox, probably.
Yeah.
So, right, does Attack the Block have any chance of winning this round? I think
there's part of me that wants it to.
I mean, I know what you mean. I think it's darker than them, and it's more political. There's more of a meaningful message in it. Like, I mean, the Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead have a lot of heart, but they're not like super meaningful or super deep or anything. Or I think you could make the argument about Attack the Block.
I think there's some really emotional moments in Attack the Block, isn't there, as well? There's a bit, I think, where John Boyega's speaking.
Yeah, there is. Which is another thing, actually. The fact, because I've only seen that film once. It must have been about 2 years ago we watched it. Mm-hmm. And I can still remember it very well. Whereas whatever it was before I said, I struggle to remember. Says probably a lot about Attack the Block. And my memory isn't good for those sort of things. Which would you say Attack the Block, then? Is that what you're thinking?
I want to.
Yeah? Like, because, I mean, do you think it's better?
I don't know if it's better, but it's hard because if you were to ask me right now, would you rather watch Hot Fuzz against Shaun of the Dead or Attack the Block, I would probably say Attack the Block.
Is that because you haven't seen it as much, though? I
don't know, I've seen it quite a bit.
Because I mean, I'd probably say it as well, but I think that's because I've only seen it once. It all does still feel quite new to me. I suppose the difference is Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead are a lot cosier films.
Yeah.
And Attack the Block isn't, despite they're very similar in a lot of style. I also think Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead have more kind of directorial flair, I guess you could say. I mean, all of the Edgar Wright transitions and the use of music and sound as a whole.
Who made Attack the Block?
I don't know. Well, we just stopped to try and Google who the director was again, because it's Joe Cornish.
Doesn't have the best repertoire of films like Tintin and Ant-Man.
No, because I have heard of him, but I think that may have just been from seeing Attack the Block and thinking, oh, that's a cool name. Because I think if I was to change my last name, I probably would want Cornish because of Cornwall.
And your name is Joe.
Yeah. So it's taken though, so I can't do that. I can't. But yeah, we were Googling that, and you just found there's an article saying there's Attack the Block 2.
No, it's actually listed on Joe Cornish's IMDb. As in pre-production. So
it's definitely coming out, Attack the Block 2, and it's got John Boyega in it.
Well, it's listed in the stars, John Boyega, yeah.
So we're saying earlier it'd be nice to see him do things again, and there we go. That's cool. I mean, he hasn't completely stopped anyway. Like he does, but yeah, it'd be nice to see him in that again.
I've heard a lot about how he was treated in Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean that definitely has affected his career massively, which is sad.
But Star Wars, in the long term, has probably affected the directors.
Do you think it's affected, like, Daisy Ridley's career? I can't think of anything else she's
she was
been
in,
either.
like, something about swimming or something recently. I don't know if it was about swimming.
I didn't know it was called something about swimming.
No, I don't know, but, like, I think in the trailer she's got, like, a swimming cap on.
Okay.
So I just assumed it was somewhat about swimming.
Because I can think of a lot of films I can think of she was in before Star Wars, but I can't think of any she was in after. She was in Only Yesterday, the Ghibli. She was one of the voice actors for that.
Oh.
And she was a voice actor in something else as well, but I can't think what. Who else was a big name in Star Wars? Was there anyone else whose career kicked off because of it?
Harrison Ford?
No, in the newer ones.
Oh.
John Boyega's didn't because he was kind of blacklisted. Daisy Ridley's I don't think has.
Oh, Adam Driver. He's really big now, isn't he?
He did do well at that, to be fair. Mm-hmm. Yes, it has boosted him and no one else.
Anyways, we're not.
Yeah, so Attack the Block 2, that's cool to find out. But yeah, alright. Directorial flair, then Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead probably do win that because Joe Cornish doesn't seem to have kicked on with much.
There's part of me that just want to put Attack the Block through just because John Boyega.
Yeah. Did you say Joe Cornish did Ant-Man? Because that was originally going to be Edgar Wright, and then he pulled out because they wouldn't let him do what he wanted to do.
He is a big fan of Edgar Wright. judging by Attack the Block, which feels like a...
So maybe it feels as a natural, like if you wanted not a budget Edgar Wright, but if you can't have Edgar Wright, I still think Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, probably.
And there's 2 films against 1 as well, which feels unfair.
Mm-hmm. But I guess each of us can judge it based on, do you think it's better than Hot Fuzz? No. Do I think it's better than Shaun of the Dead? Probably not.
I mean, I think Attack the Block's probably more artistic.
Yeah. I love the story of Attack the Block as well.
All right, I'll say you can decide which one wins. You got a smile on your face. Is it Attack the Block?
There's part of me that wants to have Attack the Block win.
All right, Attack the Block wins then.
But it's not. I don't think it is better. But there is a part of me that just wants it to win.
All right, so Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead then. Well, this comes back to whether we're doing this or which we think's better, or which is your personal preference. Which do you think's better?
I think they're on the same level to me, and that's why it's hard because they are such similar movies.
Yeah.
And I don't think Attack the Block is worse than Hot Fuzz or Shaun of the Dead.
All right, let's say Attack the Block. Attack the Block's through to the final.
And I do think Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz get the recognition that they deserve, whereas Attack the Block apparently just flopped at the box office.
Yeah, I mean, if there's anything to come out of this video, watch Attack the Block.
Yeah.
Last 2 then. Well, last 2 until the final. Mm-hmm. And they are, one of them's Return of the King, I remember.
I got Fantastic Mr Fox.
No, I assume this is Return of the King. Yep, Return of the King and Fantastic Mr Fox.
I think this one's quite easy.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't. Is it Return of the King for you then?
Yeah.
Because
Whereas if this would have been Fantastic Mr Fox versus Scooby Doo 2 like it should have been, I think Scooby Doo 2 would have been better than Fantastic Mr Fox.
No, you don't.
But
no, you don't.
I genuinely do.
You don't.
I genuinely do.
In what ways is it better?
It just is.
But more fun, is that your argument?
Yeah.
It's not as meaningful.
More fun. It's got Matthew Lillard.
It's not it's not as beautifully shot either as Fantastic Mr Fox.
No, but no one is
beautifully
wanting
animated
a Scooby-Doo movie to be beautiful.
No, but it doesn't have that, and therefore it's not as good in that way. You know, I mean, it's like no one would want.
No, but all the monsters are done very well in that film.
They are, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like for the time, there's quite good effects.
It's a pterodactyl scale.
Yes. That is a line from the Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed. And to be fair, I can't quote any lines from Fantastic Mr Fox.
Exactly. Which is more quotable.
But I've only seen Fantastic Mr Fox
We're not arguing
once.
about Fantastic Mr Fox versus Scooby-Doo, though, because you allowed it to be kicked off earlier.
I didn't allow it to be kicked off. You agreed. You agreed Return of the King is better than it.
Yeah, and I agree that if Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed is better than Fantastic Mr Fox...
Which it isn't.
Which it is, we've just agreed.
No, we haven't.
Then Return of the King has to be better than...
Fantastic Mr Fox.
Because if we're talking about, beautiful shots and stuff, I'd say Return of the King is way better looking than Fantastic Mr Fox.
Only because of the beautiful New Zealand landscape, though. What is it? The mise en scène, I think they call it. I think that means, where things are positioned on the screen.
Yeah.
In the camera. I think Fantastic Mr Fox is better than that. Better at that. Mm-hmm. And it's got cool transitions that you couldn't have in Return of the King because it would feel tonally odd if you, imagine Edgar Wright transitions in Lord of the Rings. That'd be really weird.
I would love that.
That'd be weird as hell.
I would love a Lord of the Rings trilogy done by Edgar Wright.
It'd be weird as hell with pop music playing in it and things. No,
I'd love that.
That'd be awful.
It would be, but I'd love it. They should have got Edgar Wright to do the Hobbit trilogy. Probably would have been better.
Well, I mean, anything would have been better than what they got. But a lot of that wasn't Peter Jackson's fault, I don't think.
He wanted to make a standalone or a two-part, didn't he?
Either way, I don't think it's a clear winner, Return of the King. And I think Return of the King, it's hard to, on its own, because it relies so much upon the 2 films before it to get to where it's at. Whereas Fantastic Mr Fox is, complete within itself.
I guess, but then I also think there is an element of Fantastic Mr Fox relies on the book.
Well, yeah, but you could say that about Lord of the Rings then as well.
I guess, but I think people would have seen Lord of the Rings without the book. But would people have seen Fantastic Mr Fox without the book? Probably not.
Well, it'd stand up on its own without the book. I don't think you need to have read the book Fantastic Mr Fox to watch the film.
But I don't think, people would have necessarily cared.
I don't know. I mean, Lord of the Rings was a big book. Popular book. Which is why they made the films.
Yeah.
And I got into the films much more before the book. Oh, that was your point. Oh, I'm arguing what you're saying now. I don't think it's a clear winner. I think it probably is, but I don't think it's clear. I think Fantastic Mr Fox is fantastic. Mr. Fox. Yeah. Okay, well, that's the final then, is, Attack the Block and Return of the King? Mm-hmm. You're going to say Attack the Block, aren't you? I can see it in your face. You're going to say it, and you feel guilty about it.
I do, because No, I adore Lord of the Rings. It's my favourite, like, film series trilogy.
More than the Cornetto trilogy?
I find...
It's certainly more moving.
I do find them more comforting as well. Like, there's been times when I've been having, like, a really bad day and I'll just put on one of the Lord of the Rings films or, like, watch the entirety of it. And there is something really calming, relaxing about getting, like, all cosy and...
There is. And, the music. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just like listening to the music on its own.
I've slept, like, with Lord of the Rings playing in the background before because it is super relaxing in that way.
I mean, and whenever I work, I always have some sort of music on in the background, and it has to be music that doesn't have lyrics, so that it doesn't distract me. And sometimes Lord of the Rings is a good choice.
Yeah.
The Howard Shore music. Also, like, I mean, to say it relies upon the book, I mean, it does, in a way. But also that is a strength, because then there's so much more to then immerse yourself in.
Yeah. But
like, you can watch the film and then want to go away and learn more about the characters
my
from the
point
books.
there was, like, the general premise of the films.
Yeah.
I don't think people would necessarily be as intrigued by Fantastic Mr Fox if they didn't already kind of know about the story of the book.
Okay, I see what you mean.
But, like, with Lord of the Rings, I think the story in itself holds up enough that it doesn't rely on people having read the books or knowledge of the books.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. If you explain the summary of them, like, Lord of the Rings sounds more interesting. Yeah.
Whereas, like, I think with Fantastic Mr Fox, it's like, oh, it's Roald Dahl.
Yeah.
And I think everyone grows up either being read Roald Dahl, reading Roald Dahl at school, or, like, delving into them themselves.
Yeah.
So I think it relies on, like, a lot of nostalgia in that way as well. Whereas Lord of the Rings, I think the story in itself holds up enough that you don't...
Yeah, and it's a hell of a big book to try and get into films. Mm-hmm. And Peter Jackson did a really, really good job with that. Like, Fantastic Mr Fox is a tiny book that you change whatever the hell with it and no one's going to care.
Yeah.
I mean, he did change a lot with Lord of the Rings, obviously, and there are a lot of people who complain about his changes. But I think a lot of them were for the best in terms of, like the narrative structure of how the film works.
I don't know why we're arguing about Fantastic Mr Fox and
Lord
of the Rings again.
Yeah, you wanted to say Attack the Block.
Yeah.
But you looked really guilty about it. Is that because you think Return of the King's a better film?
I think it's just because I adore Lord of the Rings so much.
Yeah.
But I also adore Attack the Block.
I do. I feel harder, though, because I've only seen it once, and that's harder to
We should watch
accurately
it again
judge it.
soon.
Yeah, we should. Especially if the second one's coming out. But...
I hope it's not like a straight to Netflix release, though. I hope it gets like an actual cinema release.
I think, I mean, as a standalone thing, yeah, Attack the Block has that advantage. Like, if we were arguing Fellowship or Two Towers, I might be saying they're better.
I think Fellowship can stand up on its own.
Yeah. But Return of the King is still more moving, it's still more immersive.
I don't know, though, because there are really sad parts of Attack the Block.
Yeah, but it's not as, like... I don't think Attack the Block, I'd cry every time I watch it.
I probably would. But...
Whereas I do cry every time I watch Return of the King. Mm-hmm. Whether I want to or not.
I mean, I cry more at Two Towers, I think.
Do you?
Yeah, I've always gotten really, really sad about the last walk of the Ents.
Yeah, you do, don't you? That is always the bit that really gets you, because that bit's never made me cry.
I don't know what it is.
I think the bit that gets me the most, and I was thinking this when we were watching Paddington 2 in the cinema the other day, the bit that gets me the most in Lord of the Rings is when he's holding on to Frodo down Mount Doom, and Frodo's got that look in his eyes like he's planning to let go and give up. And I was thinking that, like, the bit in Paddington where he's drowning and he looks like he's about to give up, and there's a bit in Toy Story 3 where they give up. And I can't think of anything more heartbreaking in a movie than watching a character you care about accept death happening as a thing. I find that so, like, gut-wrenching. That's the bit that gets me the most. But we could say Attack the Block. Are we just saying that, though, because it's a bit different and we're being more interesting?
I don't know, but
to be honest, if I look at all of this list, and, like, someone laid out all of these films and then said, oh, by the way, Return of the King is ranked as the best one, I was saying, no, it's not. I'd say the contenders to be better than that. I'd say Fantastic Mr Fox is a contender. I'd say
Scooby Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed.
No, I wouldn't say that. Whereas if someone said these are all the films, oh, and by the way, Attack the Block's the best one, I'd say, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
That argument makes sense. So maybe I agree. Maybe that is our conclusion then, is it?
I guess so, yeah.
I guess it is.
Yeah.
Attack the Block is the best of these 16 films.
Please tell us why we're wrong.
Yeah, unless you think
Also,
we're right,
please,
in which case tell us we're right.
Please tell us why Scooby Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed is the best film you've ever seen.
No one is going to say... No one. There will
be plenty of Matthew Lillard fans out there who will agree with me.
Yeah, being a Matthew Lillard fan doesn't mean it's a great film, though.
It does.
There are plenty of Matthew Lillard fans, but there are other things Matthew Lillard did that they're fans for.
Scream is the biggest one, probably.
Yeah.
13 Ghosts. No one likes that, but I
knew you were
love
going to say
it.
13 Ghosts.
Without a Paddle.
Yeah, he was in the...
he was in an episode of Criminal Minds where he plays a wrong'un.
That's very specific. He was in Five Nights at Freddy's, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Which is a film I completely forgot we watched until now.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
We didn't watch it at the cinema, though, but we...
No.
Right.
Yeah, that's our list. Do you have a question?
I did have a question, because I like to end the videos with a question, but I've forgotten what... Oh, no, I haven't. I remembered. My question was, out of any film that you've ever seen, what film would you like to be turned into a musical?
A musical? You're not going to say Scooby Doo Monsters Unleashed.
Well, it would work as a musical, though.
I mean, it would, yeah. That would be interesting. You would get a sad song piece about Scooby and Shaggy, how they always mess things up.
But then they'd also have a really upbeat one about sandwiches.
Yes, a song about sandwiches would be good.
And then Daphne would have a big moment of kind of like a Mulan moment.
Probably, yeah. I'll tell you one film I cannot see as a musical is Lord of the Rings. I think that would destroy everything that feels so meaningful in it. I feel so heartful, you know? Mm-hmm.
It's not just films on this list, though. I mean, films in general. What
Mind
would work
you,
as a musical?
Having said that, You Shall Not Pass, I could see that as an absolute banger of a song.
They could even include the Taking Hobbits to Isengard song.
Yeah, that's our question, that's our list, that's our rankings.
What film would you most want to see as a musical?
Me or them?
You. You have to answer the questions as well.
Oh, okay. I mean, I don't like musicals is the problem.
You like some.
Like what?
You like Willy Wonka, you like Wonka, you like Sweeney Todd.
Yeah, I would like to see...
Okay, I'll ask a second question for people who can't think of, mainly you. Any video game out there, what video game would you most like to be turned into a film? And which character would you like to play?
You're going to say Baldur's Gate, aren't you?
No.
You're going to say Divinity, aren't you?
I'm going to say Divinity Original Sin 2, and I would most like to play Losa.
That would be a very good film, yeah. Baldur's Gate might be too expansive for a film. I would like to see Oblivion as a movie. I think it would be absolute hellish mess of deliberately bad voice acting.
Would you
and
want to
things
be Sean Bean?
Yeah, why not? Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, I've got a better answer than that. I would like to see... Oh, imagine if Football Manager. Imagine if that was a film. I'd love that.
It is watching football.
Yeah, but I mean... Okay. Okay. Yeah, that was my answer. It was a bad one.
How do you make a film about that?
Doesn't
Wouldn't
matter.
It just be football?
Doesn't matter. That's the video.
Oh no! I would like a Stardew Valley film.
That would be cool, actually. Yeah.
And in that, I would most like to play probably Abigail.
You know what? I wouldn't want a video game turned into a movie. It's a Minecraft one.
Oh, well,
starring Jason Momoa and Jack Black.
Too late, isn't it?
I wouldn't want that. That'd be a terrible thing to have to happen, wouldn't it? That's the video. I never know how to end these, but goodbye.
Goodbye.